in one part, but the other part may come for you. That's what I'm saying. So if you read this to the hearing of somebody in passing, the person may conclude that, oh, then that means it is wrong. The Court of Appeal didn't do right. Okay. If this is what it is. So let us know the basis on which it went to the Court of Appeal and why the Court of Appeal overturned a particular judge.
A bit more in terms of insight, right? There were 78 counts. Here's how Justice Ahiagbah dealt with them. Right. She put a number of the charges together.
Right.
And then she dealt with them. So if you read the judgment, she said, I shall deal with similar offences as couched in the charge sheet together. I shall therefore deal with the charges related to stealing together as follows. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 on the charge of stealing against A1. Count 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 16, 20. So you realize that she put it... because it was 78 count. They didn't do burden of, like, in her judgment, she wasn't taking one count after the... She
was
lumping some together because it was stealing. And then she delivers. And then on conspiracy to steal and stealing against A1 and A2. That was the count, that was the excerpt upon which... And on that conspiracy, she found both of them guilty. On the conspiracy... to steal and stealing against A1. She found both of them guilty. That had to do with the training and the sensitization and whatever workshop. Which, so I'm just providing, remember, one thing that I've said is that we haven't seen the reasoning of the Court of Appeal just yet. But what you can do in terms of a challenge, because when you're challenging the decision of the High Court, the proceedings of the court, as well as the conclusions which was arrived at by the judge, is what is presented to the Superior Court.
Grounds.
So this will be one of the many things that they will look at. In fact, we, from time to time, when you read appeals, the Superior Court, which is reviewing the decision of the court beneath
the lower court,
sometimes takes on the judge as to the conclusions they arrive at.
And corrects them and says that you erred in law by taking this decision.
So the conclusions which have been arrived at by Justice Ahiagbah, they will take it on if we see this decision, because they will have to provide a counter argument as to why, per the evidence which was provided, which she arrived at the conclusion that she is guilty, why it doesn't meet the threshold to announce or pronounce guilt on Sedina.
And you know, we have a Chief Justice who sits at the top of all these things. So if the Court of Appeal gets it wrong on this one, he would, because maybe a private person may bring it up and say that no, the Court of Appeal got it wrong. And if he goes through and he realizes that the Court of Appeal schemed their way through something or they got it wrong, that is an indictment on them.
Well, the processes have not been
exhausted fully. Yes, because
they can still go to the Supreme Court.
That's it.
I mean, so
but what I'm saying is that
I don't think that it will be an indictment on the Chief Justice.
Not the Chief Justice. I mean, on the Court of Appeal judges. If the Chief Justice should find out that you schemed against what the High Court said.
I'm not sure scheming.
No, I'm only using I'm just saying that somebody would say that the High Court judge was right. So maybe she was right. Let us say, granted, she was right. If the Court of Appeal found a right wrong, and the Chief Justice found that what the Court of Appeal found wrong was right, then it's an indictment on the judges who sat at the Court of Appeal.
Let's listen to counsel for Sedina Attionu, who now walks free per the appeal court's judgment. Let's hear him.
Firstly, let me seize the opportunity to thank my lords for, in fact, for agreeing with us that in fact, for agreeing with our submissions. So we thank my lords for their erudite reasoning. However, we would just wait for the entire judgment. My lords have said that the judgment will be ready by close of today. So we'll take get copies of the judgment, and then we can peruse it, and then we can make comments subsequently. But I am a happy person, and I believe my client is also we will also be happy.
Essentially, what was the gravity or gravamen of your appeal before the Court of Appeal? What were the grounds that you were seeking from the Court of Appeal?
Oh, in fact, I would say in terms of strategy, okay, we had come essentially on 3 main grounds. On the fact that the charge sheet itself was defective, and then secondly that in fact there was no prima facie proper prima facie determination against our client, and then of course we also attacked the judgment itself. So these were the grounds, but as you may have already heard, in fact the court only read their conclusion, and then they only dwelt on the first leg of our submission, which was the defective charge sheet.
As we speak, what's the state of your clients? How is she doing now?
Well, I'm here to speak to her, but I mean, as we all know, she's in Sawam, and I'm sure she may have already heard the news, so I'm sure she'll be happy. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Counsel for Sedina Tamakloe, who's now been acquitted and discharged by the Court of Appeal. He says he's a happy man. Well, joining us on the phone line now is Mr. Richard Ahiagbah, the Director of Communications of the NPP. Richard, good morning. Thank you for your time. Are you a happy man too?
It's not so much about happy or not, but because, I mean, when you curtail citizens' freedom is a serious and a big deal, and so I won't celebrate or not about somebody's freedom being curtailed or being given to them. I think it's a good thing if the person is not at fault, and so therefore deserve their freedom, not let no one curtail it. The point that ought to be made is that, is this how we're going to treat everyone, or there are some people that ought to be treated differently and others differently? That, for me, is the issue. This government has shown over time that they are selective in the application of the law. You just sentenced Wontumi to 20-year term in prison for an offense that is contestable, offense that is not clear, because Article 1911 talks about the offense that one commits must be defined. Where an offense is not defined, there must be some interpretation to define that offense. And what Wontumi is sentenced for, that offense is not defined. So we have an issue where you are finding ways, as a government, that's what it appears now, you are finding ways to free your people, but you are bending and going over backwards to jail people who are your political opponents on very, very limited evidence. And that is troubling, not for me personally and for us in the New Patriotic as a group, but it's troubling for our judicial system that we appear to see a situation where it's, the judicial system is weaponized against opposition elements, and it's actually softened to accommodate government persons, and that is problematic. That should be concerning for all of us, not for me or the New Patriotic Party alone, because when you create that pattern, what you are saying is that tomorrow, if another party comes, should also replicate what you have done, be friendly to their people. The rule doesn't apply to them as it applies to everybody else. To them, they are treated special, and then to other people, they must be made to face the law. That's not what the Constitution says. We all must be equal before the law. So for me, I get chills when I see this pattern replicated since this government comes time and time again. So it's a concerning situation that we must confront as a people and have an honest conversation about it.
I see. Now, for you as a political party, does this then tick the equalization box for you, so that in future, if the NPP gets into power it means that then those who belong to your rank and file who may have been caged will then now go for an appeal, and based on that, they will be freed?
That is the pattern that is being created.
Sunrise.
That's the pattern that is being created. But if you ask me specifically, that is not a pattern that we should encourage. That even despite the fact that it's being done to our people, I am not one to say that let's replicate that tomorrow because the pattern has been established. The reason I won't do that, and I don't think that our party position is that, and I don't think that His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who, by grace of God, will become the president on January 7th, I don't think that is his disposition, because we want the law to be applied equally to everyone. So we uphold the law as a liberal conservative party. We believe in the rule of law. So we'll apply the law equally. And where we are straying off to do things that are contrary to proper order, I think that those of you in the media will correct us, but my disposition will not be for us to replicate that, because if we do that, Johnny, what that will bring about is that it will bring about the collapse of our democracy. Because remember, if MPP gets the chance to come to power in 2029, it doesn't mean we'll stay there forever. So whatever we use power to do in a way to satisfy our people, to more or less visit the same dose of what the NDC is doing now onto NDC people, you know for sure that once we leave power, they too will do that again. So an eye for an eye will leave a whole country of blind people. So we have to stop at some point. And I think that the reason we must take time now to confront this conversation is that we reject that way of application of the law completely, not because it suits us, not because it doesn't suit us. So even if we get a chance to come, which I know we will, God willing, I don't think that being part of that government and knowing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who he is, he would replicate this. Rather, we would take a second step back and say that let's get back to regular order. Let's let the law apply to everyone the way it's designed to be, so that we can have a fairness in our country. So, to me, it shouldn't have to be that way, and it will not have to be that way, knowing who our flag bearer is, so that we can get back and set proper example to show people what the NDC is doing.
You sound very disappointed. Are you indeed disappointed about this government?
I am, because President Mahama, with the height he has attained, and I am saying this very advisedly, not knowing fully that he is directly involved or he's enabling this actively, but somehow, because the buck stops with him, I think that he sees this, he hears these things. He ought to be able to call people to order and say, no, that's not how it ought to be. All the political parties, you have overzealous people, over exuberant people who would go on the fringe to do crazy things, which you call the hawks in political parties. We have them in both parties, but the center must go. The center, which is the leader, which is President Mahama, his persona, the record that we know about him, he should be able to stabilize his government, to call people to order. Look, nothing should move you to do these kinds of things, because the legacy I want to leave, I don't want it to be that it is me, and so therefore we are treating NDC people especially different from how we are treating everybody else, because the country belongs to all of us, and the laws are made for all of us to be subjected to it equally. And so let's hold everybody to the same standard. He ought to be able to do that. That alone is, for me, a serious disappointment that I think that President Mahama ought to call his government to order and say, look, these things cannot continue, because that's not who I am.
But Richard, to place the blame at the doorstep of the president, who is the leader of the executive, then flies in the face of the fact that the judiciary is supposed to be independent, no?
Yes, they are supposed to be independent. But who are bringing these cases? Who are making these applications? So the buck stops with him. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yes, we have a judiciary that's supposed to be independent. We have a legislature that's supposed to be independent. But the buck stops with the president. The buck stops with him. You understand? It is his attorney general that is leading all these prosecutions. It is his attorney general that is writing the nolli prosequi to free off the NDC people, isn't it? So the buck stops with him. And I've made a point earlier on when I said that advisedly, I am not assuming for once that President Mahama is sitting around a certain table and directing people, do this to MPP, do that to MPP. I don't believe that. I don't think he has that tendency to do it. His personality that I know, he's friendly, he's calm, he's humane. That personality should manifest in his leadership. Ghanaians, apart from maybe those who vote for partisan purposes, there are lots of Ghanaians who voted for him because of his personality, because of who he is. Remember President John Evans Atta Mills? People voted for him because he was a peaceful man. And when he came, he exhibited that. Okay? He exhibited that. President Mahama ought to reflect that also. But then somehow there are hawks in his party who may drive the fringe to become the center. They are bringing the fringe to the main, and he ought to be able to call them to order. That, look, my government must reflect who I am, and what you are doing is not who I am. I'm not a partisan person. I am a patriot, I'm a nationalist, and I'm a statesman. And so what you are doing is not setting good example, it's not setting good precedent. If the MPP has people such as you in their party and they get a chance to form a government, and they do that, our country may collapse under the pressure of it. So please stop it. It is his responsibility. It is his job to do. And he must bring that stability to his government. Otherwise, we're being set on the wrong path.
If you look at the basis, I mean, we don't have the full benefit of the Court of Appeals ruling, the decision underpinning, the reasoning underpinning the decision. But on the face of it, they said that the former MASLOC CEO should not have been sentenced as the prosecution could not prove the charges leveled against her. That's a fair point to make, yes?
I don't know. Like yourself, I don't have the full facts. But the point is that anybody can say that about Wontumi tomorrow. So if MPP comes to power because he was tried under NDC, we can take a process and say that, well, the prosecution did not try him well under NDC. After all, we believe that the law was held to a different standard for NDC and for NPP. So we don't think that Wontumi was tried properly. We can free him. But you think about it and say, how will that make our country stable? What confidence will people have in our judicial system? Will it make it stable? Will people have confidence in it? Because an MPP government frees an MPP person, an NDC government frees an NDC person. So what system are we creating? We are creating a dysfunctional system, a system that is not stable, a system that nobody can have confidence in, and that is not how we want to build our country. And I'm saying that President Mahama's legacy must not be associated with something like that. I like President Mahama. The only thing I would disagree is his politics. You understand? I should be able to respect him because of who he is. But what is happening, I think, is not reflective of his character and person that I like and respect as a senior brother and citizen, a statesman, and all that he has accomplished.
Before I let you go, Mr. Ahiagbah,
is a negative.
Before I let you go, Mr. Ahiagbah, you know that since you brought in Chairman Wontumi, the former president made a public declaration that Akunta mining was not involved in any form of illegal mining. That was even before the court had the benefit of sitting on the matter to decide on it. And now, with this happening, and you mentioning, and you actually frowning upon equalization of any sort, I beg to ask, are you planning on freeing Wontumi if you regain the power of the people to rule Ghana?
No, I mean, I don't think so. We must uphold the law. Trust me, we must uphold the law.
So you are not planning on freeing Wontumi on
no, I cannot sit here and tell you we are planning or we are not. But if anything like that happens tomorrow, I would not be in support of it because it will be the destabilization of the system. People won't have confidence. Of course, imagine that happens. What would an NDC person say? What would an NDC person say? He will say that because it's MPP, we have freedom. You understand? And that will not exude confidence in the system, and that is problematic. But the point I am making more fundamentally is that if you are talking about Wontumi is not jailed for galamsey.
Right.
And the statement that President Akufo-Addo made is fundamentally correct.
Okay.
What has been proven in this case is that somebody who did the galamsey is walking free. And Wontumi, whose concession somebody went to do galamsey, who was told to go and do reclamation, but he volunteered, saying that because he was not paid by Wontumi, he went to do galamsey to pay himself, is walking free. And Wontumi, who didn't do galamsey, is in jail. Now you can ask the fundamental question, how fair is that? That you are trying to fight galamsey, but you have somebody who is in jail who did not do galamsey. But you have somebody who is walking free, who did galamsey, is walking free because the state found the convenience to make him a prosecution witness, essentially to jail the one who did not do galamsey. So the question is, what are you fighting?
Okay.
Are you fighting Wontumi or you are fighting galamsey? That is a question we must address because Wontumi is not in jail now on the Akonta mining case as Samuel Boy. He's not in jail because he's done galamsey. He's in jail because he has permitted somebody to enter his concession to do reclamation according to him. But the guy has gone beyond that to do reclamation, but he's gone beyond that to do mining on the concession.
Does this decision of the Court of Appeal give you the sense that Godfrey Dami with Alfred Ahiagbah as acting as Attorney General and Deputy did not do a good job?
I cannot make that assessment, and I don't know the basis for which you are inviting me to make that assessment.
Well, the Court of Appeal has thrown away whatever the High Courts upheld and based that to cage Sedina Attionu. There was Godfrey Dami, who was Attorney General. There was Alfred Ahiagbah, who was deputizing for him, and there's Honorable Dapa as well, who was deputizing. They formed the prosecution, and the Court of Appeal says that they did a bad job, really.
I don't have an answer for that question because it's a subjective invitation you are giving to me. But instead of answering that, let me ask you the same question. The nolle prosequi that Dr. Dominic Ayine filed for a case that has not been concluded to free NDC people, and I know you were incensed by the 200 million that was spent on the Saglemi construction, which is still there, not constructed. And the
same way I was incensed by the National Cathedral.
Same thing. You can say that. I mean, but I'm specific. You limited yourself to a question. So let's not get into all these things of adding this or adding that. You asked a specific question. So let me also ask you a specific question. So the specific issue of freeing Collins Dauda, okay, on this nolle prosequi, when money has been wasted but the product has not been realized, would you say that it is because Collins Dauda is NDC that Dr. Dominic Ayine freed him? Would you say that that is the way to go? Would you say that? You understand? So these are things that we need to be mindful of. I am not going to give that value judgment. If indeed the NDC, the pattern they have established for us that we are seeing is that they will exclude their people from accountability, but they will include everybody in accountability. That is the pattern. So what we see here with the Sedina case doesn't surprise me because it fits with the form and standard they want to establish, which is that our people will not be equal before the law, but the NPP people will be equal before the law. So it is not Godfrey Dami Chiahine who didn't do a certain job well, but it is the NDC that designs and wants its people to be held to a different standard than everybody
but
else.
The NDC jailed Abuga Pele, did the NDC not?
Let's not stray into.
No, you are saying that NDC. You are saying that. I'm just adding a follow up because you're making a broad statement.
But you raised the point to you, Johnny. You made a point, and I've answered your question. So we can't run on ad nauseum talking about one thing after another. I've told you a pattern has been created. They found nolle prosequi to free their people. On top of that, they have come to reverse a ruling.
But there's no denying that Abuga Pele was jailed by his own government. The point there is that
Pele was not jailed by his own government. He was not jailed by NDC.
Abuga Pele was not.
No.
John Mahama didn't jail his own people in John Mahama
He
one.
was being tried, John. You know this, please.
Yes, but he was being tried
under NDC. He was jailed when the NPP came to power.
But
so
the matter was the action was instituted by.
But that is not the same thing as the person being jailed. They are two different things.
But if you decide that somebody works in my government, but the person has done wrong, and that standard must be held against the person.
Now, who told you that if it was the NDC government that continued in 2017, they would have jailed him? Who told you that it's not just a face-saving exercise?
It was a face-saving exercise.
Recently, yes, a face-saving exercise, Master. So please, Johnny, I am way over. And then the you that I knew in 2022.
Now you want to attack my personality. That's not fair.
That's what you are doing.
No, that's not fair.
To be wanting to find excuse for the NDC.
That's not fair. I'm not finding excuse. I know you want to become first national vice chairman of your party, but I should not be your billboard. I'm not sure that's fair.
Oh, Master,
I'm not sure.
I don't need you to be my billboard.
I didn't come here to campaign. You shouldn't let me be your billboard.
I didn't come here to campaign.
I've asked you a simple question.
No.
And you have answered. We have had a nice conversation. And so I'm not doing the NDC's bidding.
Never mind.
You are a non-party person. Hopefully, when the free delegates thing come, I will come.
You are not a neutral person. Don't give us.
I am not a I'm not a neutral Polish. I'm not a neutral Polish.
You are.
I'm not a neutral Polish.
You can't fool anybody now.
I'm not.
It's fine. I still like you as my friend, but don't be.
No, but why do you choose? Why do you choose to put people in political colors when they disagree with you?
Because it allows for the conversation to flow.
No, because
if I know you are NDC, I can flow.
Richard Ahiagbah.
You're asking a question trying to do NDC's bidding. When somebody answers you, then you turn around. Please,
Richard Ahiagbah, you have made a statement that the NDC has refused
so let's end it
No, wait.
Okay? I won't indulge you in this.
Don't be a bad loser. 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 Let's have a conversation.
What do you mean by be a bad loser?
Let's have a conversation.
I didn't come here to win or lose.
Let's have a conversation.
Johnny, I'm sorry, I need to go. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let's have lunch this afternoon.
No problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
Bring your party flag.
But be straight, okay? If you are NDC, don't be a hypocrite who says you are this. Because I know
NDC
you are.
and MPP at the same time.
No.
So which is my branch? Which is my branch?
I don't know. Go and ask the NDC. We don't.
But you are making the claim.
We have police station. And you are an NDC person.
You are making the claim.
I don't hate you for it. I don't hate you for it.
You made this claim in power. You are making it in opposition.
But you don't pretend.
But I wish you well in your first national vice chairmanship slot.
Even the Bible doesn't like lukewarm people.
Are you contesting with Chairman Buga? Are you still contesting with Chairman Buga? For the same slot.
Have a good afternoon.
All right, have a good one too. Great. Bye. That's Mr. Richard Ahiagbah. He's contesting with Chairman Buga.
Who's Chairman Buga?
For the you don't know Chairman Buga of the MPP for the same role. Yeah. Well, Texas says, but Johnny, is it not questionable and worrying to know why the appeal wasn't done during this NDC party? Before this NDC party assumed office, just like Wontumi's lawyers are doing. Anyways, they should continue to enlighten us as to why we should all be politicians. God have mercy on Mother Ghana. And another says, hi Johnny, so after all the 78 counts leveled against her, none of them is criminal enough to convict her, and the case had to travel from the Akufo-Addo administration until now. I hope our courts are just not becoming docile as they were in the previous administration. I am shocked. Hakim from WA SHS sent that one. And it says the entire confusion stems from the MPP-led government making we the citizens think that the OSP was independent, but on paper it never was. Critical, quick thoughts from you. Yes. Oh, there's one from you. Okay. Okay, you sent a message. Okay. Okay, so as a citizen, I feel cheated. That's Okukutan. I feel cheated. Ghana spent public money, diplomatic capital, and institutional resources to trace, extradite, and return Sedina Tamakloe, only for the conviction to collapse and for her to be discharged. Whatever the legal reasoning, this is a disastrous outcome for public confidence. Either the prosecution built a case too weak to survive appeal, or serious errors infected the trial. Neither possibility comforts the taxpayer. A sad day for justice, a painful setback in the fight against corruption. Ghana must now demand the full judgment, clear answers, and institutional accountability. Seth Barnes sent that one. There are 2 videos. Nima roundabout down towards Newtown. I think there's potholes and traffic situation. Ahiagbah.
Set barometers for accountability.
Yeah. Oh, it's baller. Nima roundabout to baller. Baller. Yes. We have to go, guys.
Yes, we really have to